sex shop and sex workers of Reddit. What are some of the best examples or clients not knowing how anatomy sex works? I had a guy who wanted to meet up for full service, but said he didn't want me to be disappointed by how small his dick was. He said, "Don't worry though, I'll bring a banana for us to use so you'll still be satisfied." Never worked there, but when I was 16 I worked next door to one. I was outside most of the day loading mulch, and around noon every day I would see 5 to 6 white-collar workers walk in for 5-10 minutes and walk out with nothing. Time went by, and when they turned 18 found out they were spanking it in the DVD testing room. I had a dude ask me if a certain toy was for vaginal use or for the uterus because he thought it was 2 different holes. I don't know if this counts, but I once had a gay man call and explain that after having anal sex, his butt started feeling wet, and said he thought he could feel worms moving around and legitimately wanted to know what to do. Doctor here. If he had a worm infestation, it is strange to become symptomatic all of a sudden after anal sex, and he would have noticed something during bowel movements. It is far more probable that the sex irritated his hemorrhoid veins, and what he was feeling was the pulse of blood going through congested and inflamed tissue. Not native speaker, so I may have used some wrong terms. I worked at a local sex shop last summer. Women always asked help from me because the only other person working was a guy. They wanted some sex toy but didn't know exactly what. I would usually ask something along the lines of what makes you come easier, clitoral stimulation or something inserted in you. I was there only for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, at least 7 women said, "Oh, I've never had an orgasm so I don't know." Most of them were women under 25, but the oldest was around 35-40 and married. That poor woman. This doesn't quite count but kind of, before the twist ending. So I worked in a sex shop when I was 18. They had a staff party, and being the new recent hire, I had to stay and maintain the shop. Fair enough. Senior made junior must. I get this girl come in at like 10:30, half hour before closing. She wants a dildo but says she's never bought one before and needs assistance. Sure, I mean, I hadn't even owned one myself, but I had been there a month or so and had read the packaging while stocking, so I knew a bit. Also, we were encouraged to look up sex toy-related articles on the work computer during slow periods. So okay, we go over. She says she's looking for something without vibration as that doesn't do much for her. Straight up dildo. So I show her a few but she's not interested. Bigger, she says. My ex was big and I need something similar. I miss him. Okay, so we go bigger. I'm pointing out 7-inch dicks and whatnot and she's like, no, bigger. So I point out a honking 8-inch one. She sighs and hems and haws and then says no, bigger. What about this one? Near the bottom of the rack was something with a name relating to a horse. I can't remember the actual name. It was like an 11.5-inch long dildo. Not only is that most certainly a fetish thing and definitely not something her ex had, this girl was like 5 feet and 100 pounds. But that's what caught her eye. So me, being all professional but internally thinking, bitch you wanna die, I explain to her the size and the girth and give her a light warning of potential medical hazards if used improperly. She breaks out laughing, and then my bosses walk in. Turns out she worked there as well, but since we were a one-person staffed establishment, I had never met her. She was sent in as a joke, her phone on the whole time so the owners could hear what I did when this tiniest chick asked for a horse cock. I had a daytime regular named Terry. This was 20 years ago, but I'll never forget this old guy's name. He would stop by for 10 minutes, grab a VHS from the bargain bin and attempt to flirt with me while checking out. One day I noticed Terry is in the male enhancement section and he's been there a minute. I wander back and ask if he has questions. He's holding a penis pump and very seriously asks if I could handle something that big. I laughed out loud. That usually shut down any advances, but Terry kept at it. He told me there were obviously women who could handle it or we wouldn't sell them. Then Terry told me that his dick no longer got hard, but if he were able to keep suction on it while he put the toy himself inside a vagina, that just might work. He never came back into the store after his purchase that day. Maybe it worked? Or maybe some woman killed him for trying to shove a fucking penis pump inside her. My friend is a sex worker. She asked me if it was normal to have itching and green discharge down there. She actually didn't know STDs existed but had heard of AIDS. Adult store employee here. It's mostly men not realizing the difference between a standard butt plug and a prostate massager. Coming up with a prostate massager and asking if it's a good plug for their girl. Then me explaining how it's for biological men and then having to explain further how they themselves have a P-spot in their ass. Also, with dongs and some rabbit-style vibrators, the material is a non-body safe, TPE-TPR. It is porous and holds bacteria which can cause infections and is recommended use with a condom. Seriously, please invest in high-quality toys. I know money is tight sometimes but you shouldn't risk your health for an orgasm. It isn't worth it. I work in a lingerie sex shop and wow, I didn't realize how many people lack a basic understanding of things in general. First thing that springs to mind is a woman who kept breaking a couple's toy, shaped like a U so women can wear it internally during intercourse and it'll also sit on the clitoris, by using it like a crab claw to pinch her clitoris. She must have returned 3 of these by the time we figured out what the hell she was doing. I also once had a gentleman tell me we were scamming people by making them think the G-spot was a real thing. I assured him that as a woman it was very much real but he wouldn't budge and just stood there with his unhappy looking wife telling me doctors had proved it was a myth. Another weird thing is the amount of people that want to buy a bullet vibrator to stick in their asshole. Do not do this. Instead of a butt plug, people who want to use Dettol spray or a dishwasher to wash their sex toys instead of buying a cleaning spray, and men that show up to buy a bra and then look shocked when they realize they need to know their other half's bra size. Sex shop worker here. I answered a call from a man who had purchased a sounding device. It goes in your urethra if you didn't know. He couldn't get it out. I asked him if he'd used lube and he told me no and that it was starting to hurt. He asked if he should yank it. I just had to tell him to contact his doctor. I hope he got it out. I managed naughty video stores to get myself through college. One of the girls I felt most sorry for was a chubby girl, no hate here, who said no one would go down on her and she wanted to know what oral sex was like. I pointed her to a little pink butterfly toy that had battery-operated suction. I gave her a handful of free lube samples to go with it and wished her luck. She came back to the store later that same night, toy in the bag I sent it home in. She was upset and wanted a refund because she said the butterfly was very uncomfortable. I quickly told her all sales final, and then asked questions. So, the girl had inserted the hard, plastic butterfly, suction side in. She had no idea that she had a clitoris above her vaginal opening that could bring her to orgasm. I sent her on her way with some education and more lube samples. I didn't see her again though, so, let's call that a win. Former sex shop worker here. I'll tell a story that kind of fits this. At our store we sold an array of dildos, some gag gifts, all shapes and sizes and colors etc. The largest one by far was called the Great American Challenge. It is a purple behemoth that I'm fairly certain is girthier than my arm. I'm a skinny guy. One day this guy comes in asking for a big gag dildo for his friend. I show him the big cheap ones. They are about $20 but large. Still smaller than Great American Challenge though. He says he wants something even bigger. I tell him there's nothing bigger that's in that price range. He then asks to see the bigger ones anyway, regardless of price. I show him the Great American Challenge, and tell him the price is $70. Dude gets wide-eyed and buys it right away. He says, and I quote, "This will be great gag gift as a paperweight." Now we get the gag gift cover up quite often. Girls use it all the time to buy for bachelorette parties. You aren't fooling anyone, ladies. But this guy using it with our largest dildo was not surprising. I assumed, however, that he knew what he was doing. About an hour later I get a call from what is clearly the same guy. I know it's him because he says he just bought a purple dildo from us that is very large. And that's only the Great American Challenge. We sell them once every couple months at best. He asks me what's the best way to use it. Confused I ask if he has any prior experience with smaller toys. He says no, this is his first time. I advise him to not use the toy and start smaller, and say that's about all the advice I can give you. He then one-ups himself and asks if he needs lube or if petroleum jelly is good enough. Of course you need lube, what the fuck man, I reply. He says well I don't have any, damn, guess I'll just wing it, thanks for the advice, and he hangs up. I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but I'm assuming he ended up in the hospital with quite a story. Close enough. My friend works as a pharmacist and says a guy came in once looking to purchase Plan B the morning after pill. He then asked her to explain when he should ingest it because he planned to have unprotected sex that night. Thanks for watching.